Oh, we're already recording. Well, hang
There,
on one second.
there it is.
Hey, everybody. Sneak peek.
What's up, everybody? Wolf from Walmart. We're back. We're back, baby, again.
Not a bad fish right there, guys.
No.
Out here catching Folsom bass right now, dude. Woo, he's a little chunker. What up, everybody? I am gonna forego the whole intro because my guest here, Mr. Alex Rudd, say hello.
Hi.
Had brought up a very good point because we were discussing electrolytes, and my plight for the longest time has been hydration, especially standing out in the sun all day. It doesn't matter if you're running, if you're skateboarding, if you're jumping rope. When it comes to standing on a boat all day in the sun, you get dehydrated like crazy. And we were talking about Element T, for those who don't know anything about it. Get at me. This stuff is amazing. I'll have sample packets at Columbus. If you guys are interested, just come tap my shoulder and I'll give you a pack. Because I am so for hydration out on the water, and I'm terrible at it. But I always
it can make it's a make or break for the day. Like literally, this is something that like we don't talk about, right? Everybody wants to talk about like what rod and reel do you use? What bait are you fishing with? What life jacket do you have? But the reality of the situation is there's been so many like tournaments, especially like where you can escape the heat at any time. You can come off the water anytime you want to, but like during a tournament, it's like, okay, I'm going to lock in for 8 hours. Like I'm going daylight until it's time to take the lines out. And so like I'm in my kayak until it's over. And like I always start the day, same thing. I get an LMNT. I get an element. I do the unflavored ones. And I mix it in this giant bottle right here. And this is what I drink on all day long, just so I'm staying hydrated. And like I feel good, because if I don't do this, I feel like crap, and I got a headache by the end of the day, and I'm just like a dragging piece of dog crap. And the thing is like when you've got that little extra edge of like I'm in this, I'm hydrated, I feel good, it helps you catch fish. I don't care what anybody says. Feeling good helps you catch fish. And this is also, I love these things because I do fast. So once a quarter, I do a 3-day fast and 72-hour fast. If I don't have these, dude, I drag through my fast, where if I have these, I feel great. And so I don't know. Yeah. Same thing with me, dude. Element, hit your boy up. I'd love to have a conversation about angler hydration. And I think that we could grow something amazing in the fishing world with Element. Cause it's like, dude, it's such a cool brand that I think resonates with like outdoors and fishing, especially.
Dude, absolutely. And it's not for those people who are, oh no, another drink. It's not what we're talking. It's not like the Prime that the kids are slugging these days. My son is addicted to Prime. I'm telling you, it is literally sodium, potassium, and magnesium, and it's ultra doses of it. So if you don't consistently drink it and you are starting to feel fatigued, I've done this many times, working construction, skateboarding, even fishing, and out in the middle of the day, and you don't know what to tie on next. I don't know if you've ever been in that spot where your brain is just stopped and you're like, oh,
hey, today was the day. It was horrible.
Yes. So I just slam an element, dude, and it rebalances my body. It literally brings you back like a cup of coffee. When you're in that state, you're like, oh, this is legit. It will reset your mind. It resets your body.
It helped me with was headaches. So me and my mom, I got them from my mom. My mom has migraines. And like I was listening to, I don't know if you ever heard of Gary Brecka. And Gary Brecka was talking about like migraines and then low sodium intake. And so me and my mom both are like addicted to salt. Like we can salt. Like we're like salt. And what it boiled down to was the fact that we didn't have enough sodium in our diets. That was why we crave salt so much. And when I started drinking these things, dude, I don't get headaches anymore. I don't get migraines anymore. Like I went from having like one migraine like a month to last migraine, I can't remember the last migraine I had. And it's because I'm getting that salt that I need. And that's what a lot of people don't understand is salt equals hydration. Like, in that. So I actually know a lady who had to be rescued from the Grand Canyon because she drank too much water, pissed out all her salt, and then
Yes.
dehydrated herself, even though she was full of liquids and peeing a ton. She peed all her salt out, and because she wasn't adding anything to her water. Yeah.
Yes, same thing happened to a radio show host out here in Sacramento. They had a drinking water challenge where they were chugging gallons of water or something, and the lady diluted her system and passed away, unfortunately. But like, so yeah, it's pretty gnarly. It was all over the news forever. You know, sorry to darken the moment for a second, but no. Point being is, like, people don't understand, like, when you consume liquid, you consume what 75% of your body is made of, which is water, but it's not water. Like, they don't tell you this. Oh, it is. There's a reason why it's called saline solution. When you're dehydrated, they stab a pack into your vein, and that is salt and water, because your body is made of minerals, heavy minerals, and you need a lot of it. So the more potassium and salt that you put in your body, feel. My wife suffers from hemiplegic migraines, I think it's called. Or hemiplegic, which is, yeah, it's something that happens in it's hereditary. Her dad had it, similar to your story, but she has suffered with them all her life, and she loves runs. She's an ultra marathon runner. She likes running 40 miles. Like, it's the cool thing to do.
Like an insane person. Yeah. I always tell people, if you see me running, I've not been able to kill it, and you better catch up.
Yeah. Dude, I still run faster than her. So she, I'm safe, but I can't run as long as she can. Like, she's nuts. So yeah, I run my mouth for fun. That's what I run.
That's it.
So so she started doing the element thing. I was like, hey, try these out. And she was on the, Liquid IV, like all the different things that they have offered, all the Gatorade electrolytes, like Pedialytes, whatever. There's so much sugar and other chemicals in that stuff that just bloat you out, and it was not enough sodium for her. She started doing these elements, and she does less water than what is recommended, and feels amazing. And she still gets her migraines, but it is very rare, and she can tell. Like, she's like, I have not had enough sodium, I have not had enough iron, like, I'm not feeling good. Like, okay.
It's amazing when you really start to take care of your body, and when you really start to eat like good food, and you start getting away from all the crap. Like, you will get so in tune with what's going on with your body. And like, I think that's like kind of what's wrong with so many people is like I talk to so many people, and they're just like, man, I feel this way. I'm sore all over. I'm like, and then you just start talking to them. I'm like, well, what do you eat on a daily basis? And they're like, well, I start off my morning with a double frap mocha joca, whatever. And I'm like, well, that has 800 milligrams of sugar in it. Like, so that's the first thing that you're doing wrong. I'm like, the caffeine's not bad, but the sugar sucks. And they're like, and I eat a donut for breakfast. I'm like, well, there's more sugar. And it's just like, I don't know. I know for me, like, I don't know. I've never been like just like a junk food eater. Like, I just never had, like, me and Bethany don't keep snacks in the house either. Like, we're not snackers. Like, we like whole foods. Like, if I eat a snack, it's like carrots, and like, or like peanut butter and an apple, whatever. But like, when I really started cleaning out everything though, and really started looking at ingredients on stuff, because I'm a label reader too, dude, it was amazing how just better I felt, and like more optimized I was. And like, I would work out, and like, normal soreness, but not like that. I feel like I beat the hell out of myself soreness. Like, I can go lift heavy stuff, and like the next day I'm like, I feel good. And it's because I didn't just like shove nastiness in my mouth after I got done. It was like, protein and good stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
dude.
I don't know, dude. So many people don't think about that.
Dude, and no one does. And okay, so there is a heavy amount of fatigue going on. Like, kayak fishing is, I'm not going to act like I'm the end all be all, or like I've been doing this forever. I have not, dude. Like, I have not.
Neither. Don't worry. Everybody thinks I'm some kind of kayak expert, bro. I got in a kayak about 4 or 5 years ago. So like, dude, I'm right there with you. Like, I'm not a lifer like a Chad Hoover or somebody.
Oh yeah, no, not yeah, me neither, dude. I mean, it's been a year and a half.
I love it.
And dude, me too. I wouldn't have it any other way. And I was a paddler until I just got my first motor recently. I was a paddler. So those days I put, like, I got a GPS or whatever, the sonar unit, and my buddy showed me on the screen to show how far. And I got 47 miles in on just paddling around, just goofing off, which doesn't seem like a lot to some people, but it goes. I've never paddled a day in my life before I got in a kayak, because I'm just not a water fan. I am now, but to a point. But dude, I was destroying myself. So once I started putting the electrolytes to work by bringing them on the kayak with me, dude, my day, night and day difference, extremely better.
I'm telling you, kayak fishing is physical. It's a different, like, I can get in my boat and I can fish for 4 or 5 days straight, really, really hard. And I mean, I'm tired, but I'm not like whooped. And but dude, a kayak 4 or 5 days straight, by the end of it, I am donezo. And I think it's not just the kayak itself, it's the loading, the unloading, all
Yes.
the extra steps that you got to do. And then it's the holding yourself up in it too. Because like, I'm in my big Hobie and I'm very relaxed in my Hobie. Like when I'm in my paddle kayak, it's kind of different. But like, I can relax in that boat, but there's still just that sense of you kind of got to be on it because you don't at any moment something can go wrong and you've got to kind of be ready to do something. And I just think you're kind of all day, you're kind of holding yourself and like doing what you need to do. And you're constantly moving and twisting this and doing that. And yeah, I just actually added, it was funny today, past couple of days, I've been going out, just kind of getting my boat dialed for the year. So I got my new kayak. There'll be a video dropping on that soon.
Awesome.
Got everything rigged out, but I just kind of still had to kind of get it dialed in for me, right? Before I'm ready to really get after it. And I added forward facing to the kayak this year. Dude, listen, it's like trying to pat your head, rub your belly, stand on one foot because like I'm pedaling, I'm turning my 360 and my rudder, and then I'm trying to turn my forward facing to see the fish. And before I look up, the fish are gone, and I'm trying to turn back to find where they went. And I mean, dude, I was like, I called Bailey. I was like, bro, he was like, I told you, man. He's like, you're just gonna have to go out there on a day when the wind's not blowing and kind of practice. He's like, because it is a cluster the first few times that you do it, and it's just a total mess,
dude. It's I fully agree with you. I've seen dudes do it many a times. I don't have forward facing, but I don't think that it should ever be, whatever, canned when it comes to kayak fishing, because it's such an added issue while you're doing it. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be wind. There could be some sort of small current. There's always a current somewhere, and it only takes a half a second or a wrong cast. And you know how when you're starting to retrieve, it kicks your kayak one direction or the other. So then you're trying to adjust that. We've already forgot about your forward facing sonar because you have one hand on the rod, one hand on the rudder. Like I think it's just something that adds to complication and like skill factor. So,
and the thing is too with it, dude, like here's what I've learned about forward facing sonar, because I used to be the guy that I was like, man, I don't know where I fall on it. Am I Randy Blockett or am I Jacob Wheeler or am I somewhere in between? Right. And it's like what I've figured out is like it's okay. So like today's a grand example. I probably threw at 25 fish. I was thinking one of them bit. Straight up, bro. They'd follow it. They'd look at it. Some of them wouldn't even give a crap that it was there. I know they were bass because I had one followed all the way to the boat and I saw him, but like they just weren't having it. Like, and I think that's the thing is forward facing sonar is only as effective as the scenario in which you're using it. It's just like anything. I mean, you can't just pick up a Chapo on any given day and just go whacks their ass with it. It's just a tool in the toolbox of things to use. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's what but what I have learned about it, and I think where people do get it all up in their crawl, is when it works, it works. Like, and there's been situations where like I found them offshore, I drop on them and I catch 10 out of one spot, and I've got 90 inches of smallmouth on one spot. But that's happened to me once. And so it's like, it's one of those things. It's like that one time you're going to look like a hero and there's going to be 50 people like, if it wasn't for that forward facing sonar, you wouldn't have caught him. It's like, you're probably right in this situation. Yes, you're correct. But it might never be able to repeat that. That's my problem is repeating that. Like I can repeat a crankbait bite. I can repeat a flipping bite. I can repeat a cold shad bite. The forward facing sonar thing, I've not been able to repeat myself once. Not once yet.
Oh, dude. You're right on. It's situational only. There's like, we're going to take, what is it? Bassmaster. We're going to say there's 100 people that is in the elites, right? I think it's 100. I'm not sure. All of them, 100 most likely have a forward facing unit on their boat.
Yep. So
the top 3 had the right situation for it.
Yep.
The bottom 97, they're just throwing it. They're throwing the dots on the screen.
Bro, listen, bass fishing is Talladega Nights. You're either first or you're last, and even when you're first, nobody's going to remember your name anyway. So I mean, what's it matter? You're right. You're right.
And no one knows what to do with their hands.
Nobody knows what to do with their hands. That's just it, buddy. That's it.
Oh, well, dude, Rudd, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate you, dude.
Yeah.
I know I was kind of a hassle to be like, hey.
Oh no, dude. I love this. This is probably, I tell people all the time, of all the things I get to do with my job, and I have the coolest job in the world making content. I love to talk to people. And so I love this. I'm more than willing to come on any podcast and talk to anybody anytime, because this is, I don't know, I feel like this is I like long form, because I struggle sometimes to get out exactly what I want to say in 15 minutes, let alone 30 seconds. And so when I've got an hour to really think through something and we can like really hash something out, that's where I'm optimized. I'm not optimized in that 30-second world. Some people are. I'm not very good at it. Got to get better at it, but I like this better.
Yeah, same, dude, same. And I appreciate you coming on. So we're going to break this down real quick, but not real quick at all.
Okay.
Where and when were you born, dude?
Where and when was I born? Who knows? I don't know. In a cave in the middle of nowhere. No, for real though. So I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee, born and raised. A lot of people are very confused about that. A lot of people think I live in Chattanooga, but I don't. I live in Knoxville, Tennessee, born and raised. I was born September 17th, 1993.
Woo,
yeah,
you young.
93. Yeah. I'm 31. Just turned 31 not too long ago. So I think the what was it? In Utero came out that year. So that's what I always say. Anytime Nirvana comes on, I was like, man, I'm as old as Nirvana, and that's pretty badass.
Don't say that, because I own that cassette tape. I totally own that cassette tape.
It's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's rad. It's like my favorite album they ever did. But so all right, so you're born in Knoxville, Tennessee, and you two parents, happy household, no siblings. Siblings.
Man, yeah. No, so interesting part. That's the interesting part. So yeah, I grew up in 2-parent household, mom and dad. Obviously, I mean, just they were everything that you could ask for. You know what I mean? Mom's still alive. Dad passed away from cancer. A lot of people know that. Lost my best friend when that happened. Outside of my wife, who is my very best friend in this whole entire world, and is my best friend in a different way than my dad was, but my dad was my best friend. I was my fishing partner. I was my fishing buddy. He was the man that taught me everything I know about the outdoors and anything that I know in life that is, I mean, just everything. He was a salesman. He taught me how to be a salesman. You know, he was a people person and turned me into a person that can deal with people. I'll just say that. I don't know if I'm a people person, but yeah. So grew up two parent household. What's weird is both of my sisters though are adopted from the country of Haiti. And so a lot of people don't know that. They're always very interested, like when the black girl shows up in a video and they're like, who's the black girl? And I'm like, that's my sister. And they're like, oh. And they're like, I'm like, yeah. And they're like, so you're not like some redneck racist from East Tennessee. I'm like, no, I don't, the bald head and the beard. I know that's what it makes me look like, but I promise I'm not. That's always fun. But no, for real. Yeah. So both my sisters are from Haiti. Bonita came in 2011. And then my sister Gladys came in 2013. And they're both, successful, have jobs, have families. Bonita doesn't have any kids yet. My other sister Gladys does. And they're doing their life. And, we get to see them every now and again. But yeah, dude, I mean, it's a great life, dude. I mean, there's nothing in my upbringing that was traumatic or, anything like that in any way, really. And that was an awesome blessing that I had. You know what I mean? Because my dad came from a very abusive home. Dad was abusive, just bad. Now his mom was really good to him, and his mom is actually where he gained the love for the outdoors, which is really cool because she was like a lady who was a trendsetter before there was ladies who were trendsetters. You know what I mean? So like nowadays you see all this, like, lack of a better term, DEI woke crap. And it's just the truth of what it is. Like, it's like we're trying to force something on people. This woman, my mamaw, she was just doing it because that's what she loved to do. And like, she had a passion for it and was a badass when being a badass wasn't cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
So she's a single woman, raising 2 children in the 70s and the 80s. And now you're good. She was raising 2 children in the 70s and the 80s. And she was hunting and fishing and putting wild game on the table, and like she was hunting with a bow. So actually at my mom's house, my mom and dad's house, one of my mammal's deer are hanging downstairs on the wall that she killed with a bow from a tree stand. And I mean, just a badass, right? And so that all kind of transferred to my dad, and my dad was just a consummate outdoorsman as well. Like he was doing all the cool crap before it was cool to do it. Like he was doing the Cameron Haynes, stuff, working out and killing stuff with a bow before it was cool to do that, and like, so all of that kind of transferred to me as well. And I mean, I'm the same way, man. I grew up with a bow in my hand, a fishing rod in my hand, riding four-wheelers, killing stuff with a bow, just doing the outdoors and doing it in a different way too, because like a lot of where it's kind of interesting, we're going down a little bit of a rabbit hole here already, but I love it. Like where I'm from, there's a lot of rednecks, dude. I'm from East Tennessee. Like we're rednecks. And like, that's what a lot of people think of us is. And I mean, in the way I talk too, you know what I mean? It's like, hey, how y'all doing? And like a lot of people think that's what we are. Just, hey, how you doing? Let's drink some beer and all that. And we are a little bit, we are. But like my dad always had this different point of view of like the outdoors where like, you've got this kind of stereotypical redneck camouflage wearing guy that drives a 4-wheel drive and just kills anything that moves. My dad was a well-read, very well-studied outdoorsman. And like he was reading, a Farmers County Almanac, and he was watching Fred Bear and everything that he did and really reading about conservation and, wildlife and fisheries and really getting to know the why of what we do as well as the how we do it, the when we do it, and all those kinds of things. And he passed all of that on to me, and it really instilled into me a passion for like what I have now, which is not only angling and hunting, but specifically angling, but angling from the perspective of how do I conserve this for my kids one day? Like the actual, because I think so many people go into the outdoors and they use the outdoors unknowingly in a way that's just not healthy for the outdoors. And they do it thinking that it's never going to go away. And what they don't understand is like, if we don't change the perspective and that if people aren't using the outdoors in a way that preserves the outdoors for forever, that it won't be there one day. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, it was, he had a lot of that in him. But yeah, I mean, it was just, dude, that whole side of my family, really, my dad's side of my family, not to take anything away from my mom's side of the family, just not the same kind of people with the same kind of passions. But that my dad, especially, like he solidified in me the love of, I mean, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for him. I mean, you can see him right back there in the back. That's me and him too, holding 2 9-pounders we doubled up on. And like, dude, it's just, he instilled in me something that I'll never be able to shake, that I hope that I can instill in my kids one day. And that this is what I really think, like, is going to take what we love to do and having these conversations on to the next generation. Like, I think this is the future of the outdoors and fishing, this stuff versus whatever else we can come up with. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. And okay. So I'm going to flea hop all over this dog, just to let you know.
It.
But,
send it, bro.
I love that he instilled in you like this perspective that you're part of a whole instead of that's there for you to take whenever you want. Like a lot of people, I live in California in a city, and we have wilderness around, but not really around me. I'm kind of around me, but I live in a city. So you go to the store to get something. You're not a part of that store. You go to the gas station to get something. You're not a part of that gas station. And what has never been instilled or was never burned into my brain until I had to have that perspective change when I finally got into fishing, because I just did not have that perspective at all. I grew up in a bigger city in a way worse situation. It was all take and no give. There was you weren't part of anything, a cycle of any kind. So when
where do you live now?
I live in like Sacramento, like outside of Sacramento. I live in Roseville.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So like weird part of California. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. The weird part.
Listen, anybody from California listening to this, just be ready. Get your panties out of a wad, because Alex is going to take jabs at you. All right, you're a bunch of weirdos out there. Love you guys. I know some awesome people from California. Y'all still weirdos though. But anyway, go on. I'm sorry.
No, 1,000. I'll take the jabs because I'm probably the most anti-Californian Californian you'll ever meet. Point being is that's why I go to the Columbus Fishing Expo every year. So when I learned that I was actually a part of a whole. Like I can't just go to this creek and catch all the fish and then, or not catch all the fish, but catch a bunch of fish and then expect there to be a bunch of fish in the same spot the next day. Like, oh, wait a second. So this is like a cycle. This stuff moves, it flows. I'm a part of this. The more I subtract, if I don't add, or if I don't, play the part of a balance role in this situation, I'm not going to have this. So that kind of started changing my perspective on it. And that's when I started like seeking other things than just like tackle information or the YouTube videos of how to, because I was like in the middle of learning all this stuff, like trying to figure it all out. And so I started actually hearing people like yourself and a couple other people with perspective of balance that gave me that perspective change, the option to go, okay, I am part of a whole. I am not here. It's not the grocery store. I'm not coming to get fish and leaving. Like I'm coming to remove and replace, or remove and put back, just for picture. And then bye, buddy. I won't catch you again until next week, like that kind of thing. Cause I have a small creek that runs by my house. So I just go fishing in there all the time.
Yeah.
But it helped me become more of a whole person, if that makes sense, because I grew up a taker for a long time. There is a portion of my life where I've learned to give freely what was so freely given to me. But that is a whole nother thing that has nothing to do with the outdoors. Point being is I took that perspective because that's the only other thing that I could relate to it. And I put that into my fishing, and it definitely helps, like, especially when I'm taking my son fishing. Like, come on, bud, we're going to go catch some fish and stuff like that. We're going to go have some fun. He's like, okay. He's like, Dad, let's just go catch all these over here. I'm like, no, man, we're not going there today, dude. Like, they need a rest. Like, that's not our spot. We're going to go over here and we're going to mess with some of these fish. And then, this, that, and the other. And I show them how to hold a fish, how to take care of a fish, how to make sure that when you're letting it swim away, like let it swim away, make sure it's good to go. Like, don't just walk away and that thing comes floating up like 10 minutes later. Like, chill at the spot for a while, enjoy the nature, sit down, enjoy the sun coming through the leaves. Like, you're part of something out here. And he's like, oh,
yeah. Well, and dude, that's so cool too, because, and I think it's so important is like not only that part of it, but also the take part of it too. It's the understanding the ethical part of it. Like, it's respecting the nature for what it is. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing to me more humbling than shooting a deer, especially like with a bow. And, you take that animal's life and you get down out of that tree stand, and like when you first walk up on it, and there's that moment of like, and so many people get caught. Like, I don't want to give human characteristics to an animal, because I think that that's a slippery slope. We can go down that rabbit hole, and there's a whole thing we can talk about there, because it's slippery slope. You got to be real careful, right? Because like if we anthropomorphize these animals, especially bass, that's just a foothold for the anti-fishing crowd to get a hold of us and to tear us all down from the inside out. We'll tear ourselves down before they even get a chance to. We'll go down that rabbit hole here in a second. But like the taking part of it, there's nothing I think more humbling than to walk up on a dead deer or to take a fish out. But a deer, especially for me, like I look at a deer and I'm thinking, God, all the things that had to go right for this deer to be alive in this moment, for me to kill it, and just to have a moment of just pure respect for, like, I was able to come out here, come into nature where I don't belong, blend in, kill this deer, and trick it and kill it, and then do it in an ethical way that it didn't have to, suffer. Because in the reality of life in the wilderness, that deer, if it were to live its life out, was probably going to die a horrendous death. And I was able to provide it with a quick ethical death. And it's like there's a part of that where you're right. Like, it's like there's something so special about, not only are we part of, like you said, part of this whole that allows a person to learn what is the give and take of nature, but then also the take. The take is so important as well, because that teaches a whole nother lesson. You know what I mean? A whole nother lesson of just ethics and morals and where, and like what you said, where it comes from. Dude, so many people are lost on the reality of where it all comes from. They're like, well, I don't like to kill animals, but I'm just going to go to the store and buy my chicken. Yeah, your chicken that was raised in a box about that big, and it didn't have any feathers on its body because it's so stressed out that it couldn't grow feathers, and they force-fed it antibiotics until they knocked it over the head and turned it into chicken tenders. Like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, my chickens walk around my yard and eat bugs and have a grand old time. Like, these chickens, that's pathetic. Like, and like people are just, but it's so lost on people. Like, that's a majority of people like living in a city, especially, or like living in a very like urban area, they don't realize the process of how we get our food, where it comes from, how animals actually live. Like, dude, all that crap's crazy to me. But it's because I grew up in a world where I had a papa who had a farm. He raised cows. We killed our own beef, killed our own chickens. We did that. Like, that was a part of a world that I was in that I thoroughly understand. And what was funny is kind of like you, where you had to learn that you were part of a whole. I had to learn that there was people that didn't understand it. So it's like when someone would walk up to me and say something like, I'm just going to go to the store and get my chicken and not kill my own chicken. Then I was just like, are they stupid or what is that? You know what I mean? Like, and it's like how to approach that person and be like, here's like, I want to do this in a respectful way so we can gain a partner in all this and not lose one. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
all very interesting. Very interesting.
No, I love it. I love it. So I live in the third biggest state in the U.S., and I can tell you about 80% of them are buying their chickens. You know what I'm saying? They're just like, I don't want to kill anything. Like, well,
Yeah.
you did. If
Yeah.
you're eating it, it got killed for you.
And a vegan is my favorite because they're like, well, I don't eat any meat. I'm like, no, but you kill about 10,000 things to cut down a field full of wheat or green beans. I'm like, listen, go and watch combine work sometime and see it spit out about 5 rabbits. It's getting your corn out of a field, and you're gonna go, oh wow, like I'm as part of this ethical conundrum as everybody else is in eating meat. However you want to go about that, like. That's one thing. I'll go full Ted Nugent on you on that one. I'm like, listen, buddy, you want to see death? Go to a combine field. That's death. Like, it is crazy. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go on.
No, it's all good. He has a news channel and I like it. So, but point being is, yes, I don't. We could sit here and talk about vegan, vegetarian. We could do this. I would love to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I live in the middle of it, and it's
a
horrendous nightmare. I live in the devil's asshole for sure. Point being is, I'm just gonna move on a little bit because I do want to flea hop back to.
Let's go.
So you have 2 adopted sisters from
Mm-hmm.
Haiti. What was that like? Did you go to Haiti? Was that like a whole adventure? Like, I want to hear about this. This is super interesting to me.
Yeah. So both sisters adopted from Haiti. So let's go back to the very beginning, the very, very beginning of the story. So we were going to a church that was doing mission work in Haiti at the time. My dad signed up for a mission trip because he felt led to do that. And he said, I'm going to go down here. My dad, outside of being consummate outdoorsman, also could do anything with his hands. Like, he was a builder. Like, he could build he didn't build for a living, but he could build dang near anything. Right. Like, he was just that guy. He knew how to work with wood, how to build things and all that kind of stuff.
Hands-on engineer.
Yeah. And that's what he actually did for a living. Is he was a, custom cutting tool engineer. And so what he would do is like he sold carbide cutting tools, but he would do all the custom jobs. So like Barrett 50 Cal was one of his customers, and like Barrett would call him and be like, hey, we need this specific tool for this specific barrel for this specific thing. And he would go in and be like, okay, so let's design this cutting tool that you need to do this specific job, and then sell it to him. That's what my dad did. So anyway, but outside of that, again, could build anything with his hands. Like, most of the gifts that he gave to my mom were handmade gifts. Like, I still have a bunch of the furniture that he made in the house. Like, it's awesome. So he said, I'm going to go to Haiti. I'm going to build some stuff, and I'm just going to go down there. I'm going to serve these people, and I'm going to come home. I'm not going to do anything extra. That's what's going to happen. And so he went down there, and he got back, and I wasn't as privy to this, obviously, as my mom was, because I was still pretty young at this time. I was like 13, probably 13, 14 at the time. And so like, I was old enough to kind of realize there was something up with my dad, but not really be like, yo, bro, what's up? You know what I mean? And so like, you could tell he was just like messed up when he got back. And like, dude, he would just like, and it was nightmarish, the kind of stuff that he would tell us about. And like, I just couldn't comprehend it though. Well, then finally the breakdown happened one day, and like my mom was like, what's wrong with you? You know, why are you, what is wrong? Like, you're not right. And he's like, well, I met this little girl and her name's Benita. And he's like, and God's telling me we need to adopt her. And I was like, we're all standing there like, okay, so is this like the real God or the one that you're smoking crack with on the weekends? Like, what are you, you know what I mean? And so, like, me and my mom are both like, what are you talking about? Like, this is crazy. We can't adopt this little girl, because at the time, Haiti actually didn't have any independent adoption. And so what that means is they're like China, where like China picks the kid for you. Haiti did the same exact thing, because Haiti is notorious. It's a notorious island for sex trafficking. And so there's a bunch of state-run orphanages that double as sex trafficking rings. And so they would use these orphanages as covers for sex trafficking rings while still doing real orphanage stuff as the front, to keep everybody off the fact that they were selling kids to Epstein's Island, for example. Like, straight up. That's what the place, it's hell on earth. And we'll get into my time there and things that I saw there. It's door hinges to hell, buddy. And so, look, you know, after some time passes, it's like, you know, we finally start to kind of all get on the same page about this. Like, this is really something that we need to do this. Like, this is actually a calling from God to adopt this little girl. And so as a family, we kind of made the decision, like, you know, this is actually what we need to be doing. But the problem was there's no independent adoption in Haiti. And so what's my dad do? My dad, being the absolute maniac that he was, starts to learn Creole, Haitian Creole, which is the language that they speak there, and starts to pioneer independent adoption in Haiti. So my dad was the person who pioneered independent adoption of individual children that you chose in Haiti. And it was about 4 or 5 years, this process of just going down there. He went down there over 30 times, learned the language completely, fluently. And through this process, started to figure out all the paperwork and all the things that he needed to do, not on the not only on the Haitian side, but the American side as well, to make this happen. Well, as this process is developing, there's other people from our church that start to go down there and meet their new kids as well. And so he just starts adding kids into this. And so it ended up being, at the very end of it, five kids. There's 4 girls and 1 boy that ended up coming from Haiti. But the nightmarish scenario that happened was, we're right towards the end of this, like we're within months of being done, and the earthquake happens in Haiti. And so we're sitting, I'll never forget this, as long as this is like one of those things that falls in there with like 9/11. Like, I'll never forget 9/11. Like, I was 7 years old, but I'll never forget it. I remember watching the second plane hit the building. Like, it's one of the most vivid memories I have. We were sitting at a Mexican restaurant eating, and I look up at the TV and it says earthquake in Haiti. And so I go, Dad, there's an earthquake in Haiti. He goes, what? And we look and we're like, huh. We're like, and we're in our minds, we're thinking, okay, well, there's 10,000 earthquakes a year in California, and you guys are okay. You know what I mean? And so we're thinking, it's just not that bad. But what we didn't realize is that an 8.0 earthquake, you know, whatever it was, 6 miles below the surface, like, this is
leveling.
Like, especially in Haiti, where it's been for centuries, essentially, just the land has been raped. I mean, that's what the French did. So the French brought the Haitians in. I mean, all Haitians are descended from African slaves brought in by the French. Napoleon brought them in there, and essentially they just pillaged the island and used every resource on the island until there was nothing left but dirt. And so essentially that's still the same way that it is today. There's been no, you know, replenishing of nutrients or anything like that. And so, like, the topsoil is gone, and like the things that kind of hold everything together here are gone in Haiti. And so when the earthquake happened, that movement of the earth literally like turned dirt into a fluid substance and just destroyed things. And I'm talking destruction on a level that is incomprehensible unless you saw it. Now, this is one of those things, like, you know, there's going to be probably people that listen to this and is like, you know, I don't believe in God or whatever. And that's fine. You know, we can have a conversation about that some other time.
That's their problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and dude, we can have a conversation about that some other time. I would actually love that with anybody. Hit me up anytime. I'll talk to you about it. But
I'll be bringing you back on for a special panel.
Let's go. So this is one of those things that it only makes sense because God had his hand on it. This earthquake happens. No communication, total breakdown in everything that we had going on. Embassy is literally split in half. The island of Haiti is essentially gone. We have no idea what's going on. My dad's calling everybody that he knows, trying to get a hold of people, trying to figure out what's going on, trying to figure out if even Benita's alive or anybody's alive. I mean, because these structures in Haiti too aren't exactly the best built. I mean, there's no building codes down there, and so with this earthquake hit, I mean, there was things tumbling over like building blocks.
Mhm.
Come to find out, there was one little girl who died in the earthquake at the orphanage. The orphanage collapsed and it killed her.
Mm.
Everybody else got out. Benita, when the earthquake happened, had actually just walked out of the building to go get water, and it knocked her down and literally knocked her down right outside of the building. Otherwise, she would have been crushed to death too. Then a series of events happens. This is some of the craziest crap you'll ever hear in your whole entire life. We're going to get into it.
I'm into it.
This is wild.
Dude,
So, earthquake happens. My dad's scrambling, trying to figure out how he's going to get to Haiti. As he's trying to figure out how he's going to get to Haiti, Obama, love him or hate him, signs in humanitarian parole. Humanitarian parole from Haiti, which allowed anybody that was in the process of getting a green card or in the process of the adoption process to be able to come to America and then finish that process here. So my dad goes, okay, so here's our way we get this, but how do we get there? Like there's no commercial flights going into the country. The only way to get there is via the military. So there's a local company. Probably people have heard of them. They're a national company, but they're based in Knoxville. It's called Pilot Flying J. So it's like Pilot gas stations. So the owner of it is it's the Haslams, and the Haslams are billionaires. They own the Browns but they're based out of Knoxville. One of them was the governor of Tennessee for a while.
Okay.
But so I think it was Bill who actually called my dad, somehow found out about everything that was going on, calls my dad and said, well, I would like to provide for you my private jet with my private pilot to fly down there and to get those kids.
Oh.
So my dad goes to McGee Tyson Airport here in Knoxville, gets on a private plane with a private pilot, flies to Turks and Caicos. Turks and Caicos, they refuel, they fly into Haiti. Dad said in the flight in that this pilot was like, listen, dude, I used to be in the military. Like, we're going to have to make one heck of a landing here, but we're going to figure this crap out. Dad lands in the Capitol, walks into the embassy. He said he walks into the embassy, walks up to a window, and literally the person goes, "Are you Kevin Rudd?" And my dad's like, "Yeah." He goes, "Here's the paperwork that you need for all the children." Gets the paperwork, gets back on the plane. They fly to the southern part of Haiti, which is called Jacmel, which is closest to the orphanage. Land in Jacmel, drive and get the kids, go put them on the private plane, fly back to Turks and Caicos with these kids, mind you, with all their visas, everything that they need to get back into America. Lands in Turks and Caicos, runs into Keith Richards. Not a joke. He's on the runway. Dad's like, "You're Keith Richards," and shakes his hand with 5 orphans with him. Well, not orphans anymore, but 5 Haitian kids with him. They sleep in Turks and Caicos, fly back to America the next day. We meet them in Knoxville, Tennessee at the private airport there in Knoxville, and my sister's home as well as the other kids. And now, that's the short version of it, is where it's like, there was days obviously of staying up all night. I mean, like this was like a 2.5 week process, but that's how it went down. And so that's how my sister, one of my sisters, ended up getting here. And so that's that whole story of that process. Now, where I go to Haiti is I went before the earthquake and after the earthquake. Before the earthquake, Haiti is the most devastating place you'll ever see in your whole entire life. I cannot describe to you unless you've been there. And I've never been to war. I've said this before. I've never been to war. I don't know what it's like to go to war, but it's got to be close to Haiti because, dude, it's just madness. It's pure madness. There's people everywhere. There's trash in the streets. It's piled up trash. They're burning it. It smells like a dump on a hot summer day. There's kids squatted in mud puddles, drinking out of them butt naked with their bellies distended because they've got worms so bad. And that's before the earthquake.
Mm-hmm.
After the earthquake, that's got to be what hell's like. Dude, I saw things that I still to this day, they haunt me. And like, driving by mass graves, like people just pushed into them with backhoes because they've got nowhere to put them, like arms sticking out of buildings 6 weeks later, where 6-8 weeks later, they're still sticking out of buildings because they can't get them out of there. Like the city was just gone. Like the destruction just didn't make any sense. And the thing is like, it wasn't getting any better. And I don't know if it ever got any better. I think they just pushed it all into a hole and tried to restart. And like, that's the thing about Haiti is like, it's almost hopeless. You know what I mean? Because there's no jobs, there's no infrastructure. And definitely now you can't go back. And that's kind of the sad part is Benita's in fun fact, Benita's actual mom and dad, go back a little bit further. Benita's actual mom and dad, her real dad, like biological dad, passed away.
Her birthday.
And now her biological mom is still alive and is actually in America now. But a week before my dad went to Haiti the first time, her mother said that God showed her a vision that a white man would come to America and adopt her little girl, and she abandoned Benita to the orphanage that my dad met her in a week before he got there.
What? Dude, I just got chills.
Yeah. So, dude, it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, it's just, it's those things that you look at me and you go, man, that's a lot of coincidences. And I'm like, yeah, I guess that's a lot of coincidences. I guess that's what that is. I don't know, man. Like, you tell me, And so it's like, yeah. And so like, yeah, dude, I mean, Haiti is awful. I mean, it's horrendous. It's everything bad with the world in one island that's 150 degrees all the time with trash piled up everywhere. I mean, just people living in total disarray and everything. But then but what's crazy about it is it's like, it's all of that, but then there's still people who take advantage of it and use it for horrible, like the most horrible things that a human mind can imagine. And like, dude, and dude, all that kind of, there's a lot of things that have made me who I am, but that's definitely a pivotal thing for me. Like, it's why I think I'll annoy people with how positive I am. You know what I mean? Like, I know people get tired of me because I'm just like, it's a great day to be alive. It's a great day to go fishing. Because I understand that. Like, it really is. Like, what a privilege it is for me to get out of bed every morning and go, where am I going fishing today? I mean, what a privilege it is, even if you work a 9-to-5 job that you hate. What a privilege it is for you to be able to work and to provide for your family. Because like, that's all a lot of people want to do is just provide for their family. And they can't because there's no opportunity for them. And that happens every single day all around the world while we live in our nice little Western bubble over here. And just like, everything's great, And so, yeah, dude, it's, there's been so many things, but definitely Haiti was one that, like, I mean, buddy, I got stories on stories on stories. Like, it's crazy.
Well, that's the perfect so I talk to a lot of people about perspective. Like, I'm a big person on perspective and perception. Like, altering your perspective will change your perception. And when you have a situation such as that, because we've all had those pivotal points in our life, whether ever it creates a core memory or it creates a perspective change. And having that situation in your life, like, has altered your perspective in such a way that your perception of the outside world is no longer what it once was. Like, you have this dark point, this hole inside your soul, basically. A lot of people call it a hole in the soul, whatever. You can call it whatever you want. That is now there where you can go there. You have seen the darkness. You have seen what is considered evil. Like, a lot of people don't understand what true evil, they never get a chance to see what true evil looks like.
Yep.
So their perception on everything is, oh, this is crap, this is boring, this is lame. Like they get really annoying really quick because they're constantly negative about every single thing that whether you shoot them a compliment or you shoot, they turn it. And
well, and in that instance, it's not even their fault because they have no exposure to anything. Like,
exactly, because
one of the things, you have so much empathy for people because it's like not everybody's lived your life. And I think so many people forget that as well. Like those same people don't understand, like, this is your life is completely different than this other person's life. Like you got to be so empathetic to everybody around you.
Absolutely empathetic and compassionate. Like it takes a lot of patience, and you really have to feel where somebody's coming from. And if you have never been to a situation or been through a situation where you have actually seen true evil, like you'll never have that perspective. So, or that perception. So to have that perspective switch, like, what did that do for you at such a young age? Was that something that you had to struggle with for a while and like kind of come to terms with? Because I know when I was a kid and I had things that definitely changed my perspective on the way I see the world, I didn't know how to handle it for a very long time. So it took me a while.
I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, I guess I think the way that I was in a pivotal time in my life because I was a teenager. So like I'm an angry kid, angry dude. All my
testosterone.
Yeah. And so it's like I'm like in the latter years of high school when I really get to the exposure to all this, because pre-earthquake Haiti mission trip was it was tame. It was tame compared to post-earthquake trip. And post-earthquake trip was 3 weeks. We spent 3 weeks in the country, me and my dad. And it was getting paperwork done for Gladys to come here. It was being in the city and prepping for the rest of the team to come down. And so 2 weeks of prep and then 1 week with the team. And like even the 1 week when the team got there, the anger had already set in. And it was anger for just the like, you don't understand. Like, why does nobody see this? Why is everybody just so tied up in their own little world? What in the and I had so much anger for that for so long. And and I mean, Bethany would tell you, I used to just be just a bitter asshole. Like I used to be, man. I was very bitter. I was just bitter because like it's just nobody saw it. You know what I mean? And I was that way for a long time. I mean, it probably wasn't until I was in my 20s, my early 20s, 19, 20, 21, that I really started to work out some of that. And then it really wasn't until just, maybe 5-6 years ago that I really worked it all out. And then it all reared its ugly head again when dad died. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But all of that prepared me for that moment. And there's a lot. I mean, there's a whole story behind that as well. I mean, when I turned 18, I didn't go straight to college. I went to work. And I had an opportunity to go work at a hospital, which I don't even know if dude, looking back on all this, I don't even know if it was legal. I don't know. This is one of the things, like, I look at it and I'm just like, man, Lord have mercy. But so I was an EKG tech, but then they trained. So I was at 18. So they trained me to do EKGs, and then I learned to watch heart monitors. But then they also were training me on the side for paramedic stuff, because at the time the hospital had a bunch of rules and we were in a rough part of town. And so people would show up and they would drop them outside of the hospital. Well, technically, we can't work on them unless they go in through the ER. And so they were doing this cross paramedic training to help people that were dropped off outside to get them inside. And then in all of that, they were teaching me how to run codes on people. And so somebody codes, that means they're dying and we have to try to bring them back to life. And so I was learning to, chest compressions, intubate people, do the AED, doing all of that. And so that was right after high school. And so that gave me a whole set of skills. And again, but it solidified that bitterness, that why does nobody, there are people who die every day.
Yep.
And I get to watch a lot of them die. They die underneath me as I'm trying to bring them back to life. And yet everybody just gets up in the morning and they're mad when their favorite coffee isn't in stock or something like that. And it's so it's I looked at the world as this black and white binary thing, as okay, so there's people who are plagued with knowledge like me, and then there's all the rest of these dumbasses.
Yes.
That was my perspective of the world. And it was
Got
like
it.
so hard for me to break that. But I finally did. And a lot of it I have to attribute to my wife and just being able to have and my mom and my dad too. I mean, my dad even, like my dad went through that bitterness like that. Like he saw the world for what it was. And like when you see the world for what it actually is and you know what the world could be. And then being a teacher, dude, I was a teacher for 4 years in a income little country school where I had kids come in covered in fleas because they slept with the dogs because their house was cold. And so, dude, like, and so I just had to work through all of that. And like now, man, I just have such a and the original question was, did I have to work through it? Yeah, I worked through it for a long time.
Yeah.
And now my perspective is completely different because in all of that, right? All of what I do now was developing. Getting to know people outside of the little world of Tennessee that I grew up in was happening. Getting to meet people, a bunch of California weirdos, but like meeting people from California, meeting people from different countries, meeting people from, all over the country, getting to know their perspectives and understanding and and it slowly developed me into this like mindset that like, if I'm gonna be able to love people how I should love people, because that's the end goal in everything. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the end goal. Like, and for me, my perspective of a worldview, my worldview perspective comes from kind of a Christian worldview. It is a Christian worldview. It's like what Jesus wanted people to do, and Jesus just loved on people. And anybody that says opposite to that, you're not understanding who that dude was. You know what I mean? He's not the white guy that you see hanging in your grandma's house. That wasn't him. I can promise you, not blonde hair, blue eyes. But like to love people the best that I can, I had to start understanding people and having just massive amounts of empathy for people. And like when I started to do that and I started to love people the best I could, because I'm still not good at it. I'm not saying I'm some holier than thou person. I'm not. I'm horrible. I'm probably the worst person that you could like. I'm wretched in some moments and I'm good in others. Like, sometimes I'm good, sometimes I'm bad. It just depends. But like when I started to have that kind of that perspective change, and when I started to look at the world as like, these are all people made in the image of a creator. And these are all my brothers and sisters. And I got to love them. And I got to figure out how to love them as different as we all are. I got to figure out how to love people. I got to figure out how to treat people good, because ultimately that's what's going to take me further in life than being a bitter asshole. Bitter asshole Alex doesn't make deals with people like I make deals with people now, because I can understand people now. And I use that to my advantage to be able to grow relationships with people. And those relationships lead to opportunities, and those opportunities lead to a good life. And like so many people, I think they lose that somewhere, man. But I think we only lose it because we've never been exposed to the realities of what it is. And then if we are exposed to realities, can we work it to our good?
Yep.
And I think that's for me, the thing I had to do was work it for my good. You know what I mean? And maybe I didn't work it for my good. I think God worked it for his good. You get what I'm saying? Like that's what because I can't do that. I know I can't do that. Like if I let myself run, myself is horrible. Myself is selfish. Myself wants to, dude, I'm a fighter. I like to fight. Like I'm trying to pick a fight. I'm trying to figure out how to tear this person down as much as I can. But when I step out of the way and I let the good come in, I let the love come in, that's what makes the Alex that sits here with you now and has this conversation and can have these kinds of conversations. Because, dude, 10 years ago, I would have never had this conversation with you. I'd have been like, I'm tough, I'm rough, and I'm like John Wayne. I'm tough, rough, and don't take no shit off nobody. Like that was me.
Oh, yes, dude. Yes. Yeah. No, I fully agree. And okay, so I want to get into that too. There's a lot of stuff I want to get into, but we're gonna start with this real quick. I remember earlier on when I moved to Northern California to like get a new life,
Yeah.
So I live up here, and there was this crazy. Well, she wasn't crazy. I just thought she was crazy because there's this lady. She was always positive all the time. Like, look, you've not seen the shit that I've seen. Like, I do not understand why you are so happy all the time. Yeah. And she used to always say, like, what if it's good? What if it's good? What if it's good? I'm all, what happens when I rear end somebody on the freeway? What if it's good? She's like, yeah, what if it's good?
What if it's
Because
good?
what happened, you know, you never know what's coming down the line. You might have missed an accident 2 exits down that would have taken your life, you know, and like, what if it's good? There's always a plan. There's always a plan, and it's God's plan. It's not your plan. You need to step the fuck out of the way. And I was like, oh, okay, lady, like whatever. And then the older I've gotten and the longer I've lived, I'm all, the other day, somebody was saying something. I'm like, hey man, what if it's good, dude? I'm like, oh shit.
But
It's
dude,
the
and that's
truth.
me. But dude, it's so me now. Like, you can't phase me anymore. Like, it's just it. Like, I mean, dude, especially after my dad died. I mean, like, I was that. This is the most. I think it's the one thing that I still struggle with the most is that my dad dying was the most horrendous thing that's ever happened to me in my life, and the only thing that I can imagine being any worse is Bethany going. That's it. That's it. It's the only thing I can imagine being worse.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, but as horrendous as that was, man, what if it was good? I mean, bro, you just said, what if it was good? Because now, man, like now I can't be phased. You can't. Like, I've had my buddy Branson. So my buddy Branson's been staying with us for about 3 months now. He actually just moved out. He left literally like before we started, but he's been living with us because his family's moving from Indiana. And so he needed somewhere to stay because he found a job in Tennessee. And so they're trying to buy a house. And so he's been working in Tennessee while trying to sell his house in Indiana while trying to buy his house in Tennessee. And living with us. You know, and like Branson, God love him. He got to deal with me this whole entire time. But it was the same, like he's like, man, this, and this. And I'm like, yep, it'll be all right. And he was just like finally got tired of me one day and he was like, dude, what's the deal? He's like, are you ever negative? I was like, no, not anymore. And he's like, why? And I'm like, I don't have any reason to be negative, dude. Because there's nothing. I mean, outside of death, there ain't nothing that bad. We can get through it. Like, it's going to be okay. Like, pipe burst in the house. That will get it fixed. It's just stuff. It's just things. It's nothing that it is really that important. You know what I mean? And like, even things that are important, like family heirlooms, it's still just stuff. As long as I've got my wife and my mom and my sister and we're together and we can be together and I have my family, there's nothing else that I really need. Like, money's cool. It helps me buy stuff that I need, but you know what I mean? Like, we'll figure it out. Like, we will figure it out and it'll be okay. That's just like, I don't know. It's where I'm at in life right now. You know what I mean? Not to sound like so like nonchalant. I mean, I still work hard. I mean, you still have to have this, you still have to have the grind, bro. You still got to work hard. You still got to put effort in. I mean, it's not just going to be given to you. I don't want people to think that I have that perspective all, because if I did, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. But it's just one of those things. I guess the best way, I don't worry about it anymore because it's just like you said, what if it is good? Because the plan is always working itself out somehow. And even when I think that I'm in like the deepest, darkest trench and there's no way we're out of here, somehow it all works out in the end. And I know how it works out in the end. I mean, I know what it's doing that, but it's like one of those things. It's like I got to constantly remind myself of like where I'm at, what's going on. It's like, and it's all going to be okay. It's okay.
Dude. And to put the icing on the cake on this, dude, what if it's good means it may not be good for you, but you're going to have that experience with somebody else who's suffering, who does not have the emotional and mental tools to be able to deal with what they're about to go through. Yep. And you have that same circumstance where you can help guide them and you can save someone's life just by listening and being like, I've been there.
Yep. And that's it.
That's given, freely giving what was freely given to you, as junky as a gift as it is. You know, that experience right there can change someone's life from suicide to living and having kids and growing as a human. You know,
it's and for people like, and anybody listening to this was thinking, like sitting there thinking, okay, well, I don't want my dad to have to die to be able to do something. You know, I don't want tragedy in my life. Yeah. Well, then just make yourself uncomfortable. Like, that's so important. Like, get uncomfortable. Go have uncomfortable conversations. Move your body. Do what I do every morning. Go get in cold water, cold plunge every morning. And I just do it. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, we have lost the ability as humans to be miserable. It's like, be miserable for a little while. Like, I literally one of my workout playlists is called Pain. And it's not like to sound tough or to be like Billy Badass. It's just like I know in this moment that the pain is the gain. You know what I mean? Like it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger is that sound, but it's just the truth is it's like be uncomfortable in every aspect of life because that uncomfort is what grows you as a human and helps you to learn. And like I think that's so important, especially in today's time when we live in our nice little air conditioned boxes with our AI and our everything at our fingertips and our instant gratification and all of those things is like just set it in your mind that you're going to do a hard thing a day, whatever that is. And if that hard thing a day is reading a chapter of a book, well, then sit down in a quiet place and read that chapter. If your hard thing is working out, then work out. Whatever it is, just do something that challenges you, that puts you outside of your comfort zone. And I think that those little bitty micro steps are what will help you to ultimately have a perspective change. You know what I mean? And exposure to the world around you does that as well.
Oh yeah. 100%. Hold on 1 second. I got to do this real quick. We're going to throw an ad.
What up, dudes and dudettes? I'm sure you're tired of hearing my voice by now, but you're going to hear it for a little bit longer because this is a shout out to the sponsor of this show, Kayak City. Kayak City has been taking care of me ever since I started getting into a boat and paddling around in the water trying to catch some fish. And when I tell you it is Kayak City, it is literally like a city of kayaks. They have Bonafide, Eddyline, Feel Free, Hobie, Jackson, Native, New Canoe, Old Town, Wilderness Systems, and so many used kayaks. I stopped trying to count them a long time ago. If you guys are looking for accessories, they have walls and walls and walls of accessories. They have one wall dedicated specifically to Yak Attack, and it is a massive wall. Kayak City is your #1 Yak Attack dealer here in Northern California. If you want to know where it is, stop by at 7812 Auburn Boulevard, Citrus Heights, CA. Roll through, say what up to James, Troy, Eric, Scott. Tell them Dave says what's up and tell them I sent you there. Thanks for listening.
I know. Sorry, I had to throw that in.
Who's like brother? No, I like it. Kayak City. Go check it out, ladies and gentlemen. You definitely should. I've never been there. Sounds cool to me, though. I would go if I was there. Maybe. I don't know if I ever go to California. You gotta have to pay me to go out there. Anyway,
yeah. I love it. No, so okay. We're gonna dive back into the story just because there's a whole lot to still unfold here. So you have an adopted sister. You're going, you went and you pick basically the hardest job to have as a human, emotionally and mentally. Like the toll that takes on somebody is extreme. Moving from that, what was just picking up work here and there, or did you just jump right into YouTube, or how'd that work, dude?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's the fun story. This is where it gets fun, bro. This is where it gets fun.
We still got to do the teaching thing because I think that's super important because young minds is absolutely.
So I worked at the hospital. What kind of drove the career change, we'll say, was hated working at the hospital. This hospital actually was shutting down at the time. Like the last year that I worked there, it actually shut down, went out of business, and they tore it down. And it was because it was so poorly mismanaged at the time that they literally drove themselves out of business. But also it was just like, dude, it was, again, Obama, love him or hate him, Obamacare was a nightmarish thing if you worked at a hospital because of the way that the insurance companies and the way that at that time, that was the downfall of big pharmaceuticals and the insurance company. That was the domino that sent it down to where we're at right now. And that's another rabbit hole we can go down, dude. You want to get me on a freaking soapbox, you'll get me on a soapbox with that one. But at that time, man, like we were doing crazy things, and I was doing stuff like another thing. In all the jobs that I had there, they would make me do the billing. And we were billing people $10,000 for EKGs that had Blue Cross Blue Shield because Blue Cross Blue Shield was a preferred insurance for the hospital that I worked at. And the reason it was a preferred hospital for the hospital I worked at is because all of our equipment was forgot what brand, but both of those brands were under the umbrella of BlackRock. And so they were taking money out of one hand and putting it in the other. And so that they would charge the person with Blue Cross Blue Shield $10,000 for an EKG versus somebody else, they'd only charge them like $5,000. And I was noticing this because I charged a guy one time for 8 EKGs that we did on him because he had a broken arm because he had a high heart rate. Well, his arm was broke. Why do you think that he had a high heart rate? Yeah.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
I'm not too calm about that.
Yeah, so that was one of those things that, what radicalized you. That was one of those things that radicalized me. But like, so I'm all this, and so this hospital starts to shut down, and I'm sitting around going, okay. At this time, too, I was always like, always kicking around, like I want to work for myself. I want to work for myself. But I always had this passion to be an educator. And the reason I had a passion to be an educator is because I wanted to be the teacher that I never had. Because I had some like pretty crap ass teachers. You know what I mean? And like my mom worked in the education field as a teacher's assistant, and she just, man, she worked for a lot of teachers that were crap teachers. And she would end up like doing the job of the teacher. And I thought I can do better than that. And I've always had a passion for education, and I've always loved kids. I enjoy being around kids. Like I'm one of those few people that like kids don't bother me. Like, people are like, I'm sorry, my kids are so loud. I'm like, make them louder. Like, let's party. Like, I don't care. Let's rock and roll. I love this.
Yeah.
And so at the time, hospitals shutting down, I'd grown, a clientele of people who I was doing like lawn care for. And that was always something I just kind of did on the side because it was easy cash. And then I started this whole YouTube channel thing. At this time was just, I mean, it was, it was a fart in a diving helmet, dude. It was here, there, and in between. And and so I'm looking at all this and I'm going, okay, so what can I do here? And so I go to my mom and dad. I'm like, hey, I think I want to go back to college. And they're both like, okay, you're as crazy as we thought you were. And like, what do you want to go to college for? I'm like, well, I think I want to be a teacher. And they're like, oh yeah, you're definitely smoking crack. Like, where you get this must be that good stuff. And so I'm like, no, I'm serious. And so I go back to college. I quit this job at the hospital because the hospital's shutting down anyway. I was making enough money. I was making actually better money mowing yards and doing leaves in the fall and like doing little odds and end jobs. And I could save money all through the summertime to then get me into the fall. And then I started substitute teaching as well, just to get, classroom experience. Cause I thought if I'm going to be a teacher, I need classroom experience. And so between all of those things, I'm making enough income to make up for the fact that I'm at the hospital, still living at home, dating Bethany and all of this as well. And the YouTube channel thing is just over here, and it's kind of its own little beast. And it's kind of just, it's like that gremlin, remember you can't feed them after midnight. And and the thing was, is I just kept getting closer and closer to midnight with those feedings. And it keeps growing and growing, and everything else is growing. And I'm going to college, and I get through college somehow miraculously. I don't know how I do that. And I get towards the end of college, and I'm really looking at this thing, and I'm going, man, this is like crazy. Like I have an opportunity here to really make this into something. And like my last couple years of college, I was looking at it and I was like, I can take a run at this thing. Like I really can take a run at this thing. But what I want to do is I want to make sure that because I'm towards the end of college too. I asked Bethany to marry me. So we're trying to get married. I'm trying to establish a family. I'm trying to make sure all my little ducks in a row are before I just take a swing at like trying to do YouTube, because like that's like the cool new hip thing to do. And like I'm just all of this. I mean, it's a much more complicated story than that with a bunch of little nuances. But that's the good kind of 10,000-foot view of how it all went down. You know what I mean? Just like working your way through college, doing your thing, growing your little mowing business, growing, getting your degree, but all under all of that, I keep this YouTube thing up, keep the consistency going, keep posting those videos, keep growing this thing, and it keeps growing, and I'm making relationships, and I'm meeting people, and I'm doing things, and I'm all that. And like the YouTube story, we can kind of talk about it separate because it is its own thing, but it all plays together. But then I graduate college, and I get my first teaching job and get into a school that I absolutely love. I was the only fifth grade teacher. So we had one teacher per grade in the school. That was 175 kids. That's it. Little country school, roughest bunch of freaking kids you ever been around in your life, but I loved them. Like they're just little rednecks, and I loved them. And like it was just an awesome school. And it was like when we went to school, bro. Like,
yes,
you know what I'm talking about? Like not this. The education system ain't got a hold of it yet. Like still old.
No, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and we can still like go outside and like, when we were doing
allegiance, the whole nine.
Oh, the whole nine. And like, we're doing the bug unit. Like we go outside and find caterpillars that turn, did the whole thing.
Yes.
And so all of this is happening, and all while YouTube's growing, and I'm, YouTube's growing to the point where I'm really starting to look at it, and I'm starting to go like, okay, this is getting almost too much. Like where I signed a contract with a company that was as much as my teaching salary. And I'm like, like we're gonna have to start figuring something out here.
Yeah.
Then COVID happens. School shuts down. It goes all to hell, bro. You know how it is. I mean, the whole world went to hell in a handbag. Like, I can only imagine what it was like out there for you, because I mean, like, as crazy as it was here, I know it was like 40 times worse out there. And so, like, I don't know what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on. Everything's going to hell in a handbag. And like, but what was cool is I get freaking a year paid off to do whatever I want to do.
Gosh, dude.
So guess what old boy goes and does? He goes fishing.
Double down.
Every day. I double down, bro. And YouTube channel doubles. YouTube income doubles. Everything's moving in the right direction. We start to reintegrate back into the world. We're trying to come back after COVID. I come back to teaching after COVID. It is a hellscape of just bull crap. They ruined the education. I mean, like, dude, the federal government took full advantage of the fact that people needed money and states needed money and school systems needed money. And they came in and they put their foot down and they said, this is the way this is going to be. This is the education that you're going to give these kids because you need this money to stay open. And
chopping chapters out of books, dude.
Straight
up.
Just crazy stuff. Like, I'm teaching at that time, I went from 5th grade to 2nd grade, and I was teaching 2nd graders the Hindu gods. I don't know why we're teaching 2nd graders that. They're 2nd graders. Like, we want to talk about, like, you know, we had another book series that we did. It was called The Cat Band. It was about a cat that stole different kinds of food, and every day it was a different kind of food. That's what they wanted to read. They didn't care about Vinush, the whatever Hindu god. They don't care. And so all this is going on, and like, again, 10,000 foot view, and then dad gets diagnosed with cancer. And that's a whole thing, because they tried to give him COVID. They tested him 25 times for COVID because he was coughing. And he was coughing because he had blood clots in his lungs from the cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that point, life changes. Completely different.
Yep.
And I'm standing here and I'm going, okay, yeah, huh. And like, you Google it, and he has less than a 10% chance of surviving past 2 years with stage 4 colon cancer. I'm like, okay. And at this point, I'm making more fishing than I am at school. And at this point, I had moved schools because me and the new principal that had came into the school I was at, butted heads, and I didn't like her.
Oh yeah.
And
woke administration.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. I'm throw hands with somebody. In again, it's kind of how the plan works out. The new job that I get is just like a smooze job where I get literally 6 hours out of my 8-hour day to just like sit around and worry about YouTube stuff. And I look at Bethany and I say, hey, so like, I'm not going to teach anymore because like, life's too short. And I want to spend as much time with my dad as I got left with him before something happens. And I'm not going to sit around because I have this dream. Life's too short. What's the worst thing that happens? I go get another teaching job if it doesn't work out.
Yep.
And so I quit. And I went all in on it. And
okay, walk in and say, fuck you, you're cool. I'm out.
Sort of, not really.
Yeah.
I left on very good terms. And okay. I left. So one thing I did do was I made sure that I stayed long enough that actually my teaching license just expired. This is crazy. I stayed in long enough that I would have a 4-year buffer with my teaching license, that I would have 4 years where I'd have to redo my teaching license. And it actually just expired because we're rolling into my 4th year of doing this full time. And that way I make sure that I had it. But no, I walk in and I mean, the conversation was really simple. I mean, like, my principal kind of knew. But I walk in, I'm like, hey, I'm not coming back next year. And it was devastating to him because, I mean, dude, I'm not good at a lot of stuff, but I was a damn good teacher. I mean, I got high scores on all my evaluations. I took pride in being an educator. Like, really love being an educator, love my kids. And so, like, they were like, "Man, you know, we really don't want to lose you." But I looked at him and I was like, "Man, life's too short." I was like, "Chase the dream, whatever it is. At no point in your life are you too old to chase the dream." I was like, "Life is too short. If you have a passion, go for it." Now, I'm not saying burn the boats. You got to sometimes, but do it smart. You know, don't bankrupt yourself to go after the dream. But the dream's there, and if you're willing to work at it hard enough, the dream can be acquired. And that's all. That's all I am. I'm nothing special, bro. I go on my channel. I don't have mega viral videos. I've never done anything special. I've just chipped away at it and built a brand and built what I have, and it built it to the point where I could quit. And I did. And I walked in and I said, I'm done. I worked out the rest of the year and I rode off into the sunset with my bass boat, and my kayak, and started fishing. And I mean, dude, I truly, truly enjoyed the last 2 years that my dad was on this earth. And I got to spend time with him. I got to go fishing with him. I made my own schedule. I was there when they told him he didn't have any more time left. I was there on the day that he died. I watched him take his last breath, and I was able to do all that because I wasn't tied to a 9 to 5, and I did my own thing. And I won't ever work for anybody ever again because this is what I want to do. Like, the freedom I have to be me and to do me in this world the way that I do it. I built this brick by brick. This is what I built this into. And that's why I have so much pride in this. And that's why I am so opinionated in the way that I am, and the way that I think. The way I think about things is because, like, no one's going to ever take this away from me. And like, that's, I mean, dude, that's the story. Like, that's how we got here. I mean, there's a lot of other little nuanced things. Again, there's a lot of little stories I could tell you about this business deal and this thing that happened and this person I met and all these relationships, and all of that was building up to where we are now, and like kind of what I have now. But in the end, man, I mean, you know, that's it. Like, I worked and worked and worked, and just this YouTube thing was always there. And like, eventually, I'll tell you, the turning point for me on the YouTube thing and like making it into a business was the first year I went to ICAST. I met all the Guggen boys before they were the Guggen boys, right? And Andrew Flair said, "Do you not monetize your channel?" And I was like, "Well, what's a monetize?" And he's like, "You can make money on YouTube." And I'm like, "You can do what now?" And he's like, "You can make money on YouTube." And I'm like, "Okay, in my good ear, one more, you can do what on YouTube?" And he's like,
Yeah, come again.
"Make money." And I'm like, at that moment, my mindset shifted. This is going to be my full-time job, whatever it takes, while also doing everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sleepless nights. Stay up to 1 or 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, dude, when I was teaching, people don't know this. So it's part of, like, I've talked about this, but people don't know it. I would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning because I was an hour away from where I worked. And so I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, take a shower, drive to school, get there about 30 minutes early, 45 minutes early if I could. Go into my classroom, get everything turned on, check YouTube, check any emails that I had to respond to, write out my to-do list for that day, start working. Teach my kids, get my lessons plans together, teach my kids until lunch, warm up my lunch, or pull it out of my bag, pull up my computer, start working on YouTube stuff, work through my lunch. Trying to eat, work. Kids come back in, teach. Day ends, stay till about 5 o'clock prepping everything for the next day so I don't have to show up 30 minutes early to get my stuff ready for the next day. It's just done. Leave the school at 5 o'clock, drive an hour home, walk in, kiss Bethany on the mouth, usually sit down and start working on something with YouTube. The X2, when I worked with X2, great company, don't work with them anymore, but all those people over there at Gunpowder will tell you this story. This is the day they fell in love with me. I guess this is like, this is what made them like me. I literally sit down and I go, "Listen, I've not ate dinner yet, so I'm going to sit here and I'm going to eat dinner while we do this meeting because I'm hungry, and this is the only time that I have to eat dinner because I got something to do right after this." And they were like, "Okay." I'm like, "Cool." And so, like, I'm sitting there eating dinner and like doing this deal with X2 because I had to eat, and then I was gonna film a video, edit a video, and get it out. And I filmed it, edited it. By the time I uploaded, got everything titled, thumbnail done, it was 1 o'clock in the morning. I go to sleep, I get back up at 5, and we do it all over again.
Yes,
That's
sir.
when I was a teacher. And like that was the grind. And that was the grind for the 3 years that I taught. And it's still the grind today. We just do it in a different way. It's just, I love it. I love this. If I didn't love it, I wouldn't do it. Like, I love this. You know what I mean? And like, that's it, bro. I mean, like, that's the gist of the story.
Well, dude. Well, I mean, okay, so there's a lot to unpack, but I mean, let's start with the obvious: is like turning your passion into your way of life. You know, like molding your actual future by will and hard work, which is fucking a lesson for anyone anywhere. Like, you want something, like,
Go for it.
yeah, go for it. It's going to be a lot of work. You are not going to sleep. My wife, she was a teacher. She got her master's program. She did everything, like teaching. She was a first grade teacher. It was awesome. I have questions only because I've seen what it takes to do assessments. I've seen what it takes to do grading papers in the middle of the night. Like, I don't know how, it's first grade. I don't know how she reads what they're writing. First off, I'm like, that makes no sense to me. It's doodles. But like, she would sit up hours and hours and hours, you know, and just work at night for teaching. So you're doing that on top of working for yourself, being self-employed, like grinding and turning both things you had a passion for, like both things. So I know how the YouTube and the fishing became more of the passion, but how did your family fit into this? Like, Bethany's got to be the most supportive woman on the face of the planet. She's got to be solid as an oak, because like, I know that right now I own 2 businesses and I work at the kayak shop and I do this and I do a couple more things. Like, I'm moving all the time. And my wife is like, you need to be home at some point. And I'm like, okay. So how did that work out? Where was that balance at? Like, how did you find that balance?
It's a great question. I don't know. Like, I don't know how we did it. Looking back, I don't know. I really don't. I mean, like, we just did, like, and we still do. Like, Bethany is the rock. She is Alex Red Fishing would not exist without Bethany. And I wish I had like the secret formula to tell everybody. I don't know how we do it. I mean, it's just one of those things. It's be intentional. Be intentional with everything that you do. Be intentional with your wife. Be intentional with your family, your other family that's outside of your wife. Be intentional with your kids if you've got kids. Be intentional with your work. Like, it's just setting that and like, dude, we schedule everything. Like, my Google Calendar, if it's not on my Google Calendar, it doesn't exist to me. Like as soon as you message me, it goes on the Google Calendar, and it's a shared Google Calendar with me and Bethany. And like, now, you know, nowadays, like, I take the weekends off no matter what, unless I'm fishing a tournament. And like, but then I'll take a day off during the week, and like, that's my day to be off and to be intentional about being off and being unplugged from the world. Now, when I was doing all that, Sundays was our day. Sunday was my day off. I didn't do a Saturday. I would do it. Sunday, we wouldn't do it, or vice versa. Like, when all that was still going on. But even then, man, I think that Bethany Bethany sees the best in me. Like, God love her, because it's hard sometimes. But like, Bethany, I think she appreciates the fact that I do what I do. Like, there's like an appreciation in Bethany that she goes, yeah, no, like he's doing this, and I do all this just so that she can have the life that she wants as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Bethany wants to do what Bethany does and enjoy how Bethany enjoys doing things, and like, whatever that takes, I'm going to do it. Like, if you say, hey, you know, I want to do this, it's like, okay, let's figure it out. Let's go do it. And like, and I think another thing is like, like, you know, work hard and manifest or whatever, blah, 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 blah. Like, there's one thing that is for absolutely certain. And again, I don't say this to be old Billy Badass, but it's just the truth, dude. I go for people's heads. Like, I take trophies. Like, let's go. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Elaborate.
Bethany knows this, and people around me know this. Like I want to win. And when I win, winning is paying the bills and making sure we got some extra left over. It's living comfortably. It's doing what I want to do when I want to do it. It's making that deal. Like I love business. I love to do business. And like if you heard me on a business call versus just a call with me, like when we're talking, dude, you'd be like, "Woo!" Like that made me nervous because like I just don't care. Like I'm here to kick ass and take names, go for throats, take heads. You know that scene from 300 when the guy rides in with all the heads on the rope? You know what I mean?
Yeah, right in the beginning. Yeah.
Beginning. Yeah, like I'm that guy, but he doesn't kick me in the hole. I just go ahead and take that guy's head too and go on to the next city. And like I don't mean that in like a mean, I want to destroy people way or use them way. I just mean it in like when I see a goal, I don't just accomplish a goal, I destroy the goal. Like if the goal's 100 yards, we're going 150. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that like that intensity and that intentionality, you got to have so much intentionality to do that. And I want to do the same thing with Bethany. Like, so going back to that, like having a relationship with my wife, if the goal is 100%, we're doing 175%. Whatever that takes. Whatever it takes. If it means I got to stay up till 2 a.m. to get something done now so that I can have the next day with her to go and spend time with her and be intentional about it, that's what I'm going to do. And I think so many men, this is for you guys, like so many men get wrapped up in the like, well, I work hard and I'm the man and I'm the, yeah, you are. Yeah, good job, dude. You are. Like that's your job. Congratulations. Like you're just doing what you need to be doing. Okay, then work harder because nobody cares. Like straight up. Like it's just it. Like as inspirational as I can be and like is like again, like you know, going back to everything that we talked about and like and really being empathetic towards people. I get it. I hear what you're saying, but I can be immensely sympathetic, but have no sympathy for you. Because empathetic and sympathetic are two totally different things. Because nobody cares, work harder. I can even be empathetic, but I ain't gonna have no sympathy on you. Like you're either jumping on the boat with me or you're getting left behind. We're all climbing a ladder. If you want to pass me, pass me. I'll slap you on the ass and say good job. But you better be climbing because if you're not climbing, I'm going to pass you and we're going to keep on going. And I'm going to the top. Like that's my mindset with work. And that's also my mindset with the intentionality of my relationship with my wife, relationship with people around me, doing what I'm doing right now. I mean, for everybody listening, this is 11:36 Eastern time. Like I'm doing this, and I'm not saying that because, you know, you're good, bro. You're good. But I'm doing this because like all this is doing, building a relationship with you. It's an intentionality of building my brand and putting it out to an audience that may not have heard of me before. And it's having the intentionality to just do this. And like, not a lot of people got that. And that's okay. Bethany doesn't have that. That's not what Bethany doesn't want to do this life. Bethany likes her little system she works in and she does what Bethany likes to do. And that's where Bethany's comfortable. And she looks at me all the time. She says, I'm not like you and I'm not like her. And that's what makes us a perfect team. But like the people, if there is somebody out there that's thinking, man, I think like that. Well, then dude, if you're at 1,000 RPM, you better crank it up to 3,000. And you better have the ability to do it. Like, and I think that's another thing is understanding your limitations. Like, love him or hate him, Donald Trump. I mean, you got to admire the guy. I think because they shoot him in the freaking head and he just gets up, fight. And then he's on a plane to this and then a press conference and he's drinking Diet Coke and running off McDonald's. And I mean, he's just a million miles an hour all the time. And he's 70 something. Like that's an insane human. There's something wrong with that guy. There's something different about that. Right.
Absolutely.
Well, that's it. But that's it. That's
the killer mentality. Yeah.
It's a killer.
Absolutely.
It's either kill or be killed. That's it.
You know, and I will say, okay, so I'm gonna kind of brainstorm a little bit and follow me down this weird little opinion that I have. I've noticed that there is no competition when it comes to the YouTube crowd, period. In fact, all people that are like really into the YouTube stuff, like, or anybody that's into just social media content on a regular basis, there's really no competitions between anybody. Like, I love it. Like, you see Bassmaster, you see those guys out there, they're like, you know, they're in competition to win. And every time that I talk to somebody who's either an influencer or into social media or a YouTuber, they're all like, dude, just work harder. We're here for you. Like, I'm here for you. If you don't work that hard, that's fine. I'll leave you behind. But it's not a competition. It's just, we are here. Like, we are all here. You guys are extremely supportive to each other. You guys are always trying to get each other's backs and build each other up. But at the same time, you don't sit back and pat somebody on the ass because they're not working hard enough. You know, like, I love it, dude. I think it's amazing.
And that's my problem. Not to go down this rabbit hole, but that's kind of my problem with like tournament angling and like that whole side of the industry. And like, dude, you just kind of like opened the door for me there a little bit. Like, but like, yeah, that's it. Like, that's my kind of problem with that side of the industry is everybody's there to cut each other down. With my side of the industry, I'm not here to cut anybody down, but I'm also not going to sit around and wait on you either. Like, those are two very different things. Just because I don't help you doesn't mean I don't want to see you succeed.
Yes.
It's just I don't have time to pat, like you said, pat your ass and pick you up and put you on the horse with me. Go find your own horse, but let's ride. You know what I mean? Like that's a great way to, that's a great way to put that. I mean, like, and that's what I tell anybody. Like, I'm willing to help anybody at any time because we're all climbing the ladder together. And if you pass me, good job. But you better work hard.
Moving.
Yeah, because I'm going to keep on climbing. Like, I'm one rung at a time. And even if it's just one rung at a time, we're one runging it until we're at the top. You know, whatever the top is, if there is a top. I don't know. I don't think YouTube doesn't have a ceiling. Like, this thing isn't going anywhere or getting any smaller. That's for absolutely certain.
Well, dude, absolutely. And like, I mean, we could go like to the greater conversation of like where we're sitting at in the fishing industry right now. Like, how the fact is that everybody's been cutting each other down for so long. And that's what the industry's been built on, that this new crop of basically industry influencers are coming up, and they're not cutting each other down. They're just building each other up, but they're on their own perspective trips that it can go in so many different directions, but they're all supporting each other. And people are wondering why the YouTube is growing and why the YouTube is so big and why YouTube and influencers are so big in social media and in fishing. And really, we're not taking each other out. We're just all moving forward on a regular basis as hard as we possibly can with what we're allowed to do. That's it. And I feel like everyone said, oh, the state of the industry is in such a weird limbo right now. It's not. One keeps moving forward. The other one is cutting each other's throats. You know, pick your side. I'm not saying that fishing tournaments are bad. I love watching them. In fact, I have like this whole theory on a show that's I'll eventually get to. It's just taking a long time to do, but it's like a Mystery Science Theater 2000 for bass fishing. It's going to be fun. Point being is like, yeah, it's like watching people take each other out, talk smack about each other, and rip each other down for a single end goal. Or following a community of people that are building each other up, constantly moving forward, all driven by their own personal goals.
Well, and at the end of the day, it's because one side of the industry is driven by gambling and want to try to win money. The other side of the industry is let's all build each other up because collectively we have more power than we do alone.
Absolutely. Perfect. Thank you. You shortened all that up for me.
Because if I can go to a company and I can tell them you're going to pay me this much money to do this job, well, that means the next person that follows me up can go, well, you're going to pay me this much money to do this job. Or on the other side of the industry, it's you're going to pay me this money so that I can go gamble this money and maybe win it back for you while also like not doing my job because I got to focus on this other thing, which is the gambling side of thing. And again, I'm just like you, dude. If that's what people want to do, then do it. That's that side of me. Again, it sounds like I'm cutting somebody down, but I'm not. What I'm saying is that like the perspective of that is absolutely insane to me. And it's like, I don't get that. I don't get that from a business perspective. I don't get that from an ROI perspective. I don't get that from anything perspective. And like, that's good. If you want to do that, I'm going to support you 100% in going after your dream and running after it. But I'm going to be over here doing my thing and working my side of the thing. And like, don't expect any help from me because it's just what we just said. Like, I can have empathy, but I ain't going to have no sympathy.
Yep, exactly. Dude, so I live in Roseville, so I'm about an hour and a half away from Reno, Nevada. Quality town, I swear. I actually like Reno. It's pretty fun. But point being is I'm not much of a gambler. And I did a lot of work for a lot of companies out in Reno. And this one old timer that was on my job, he put it in perspective for me so greatly. I mean, I was 20 and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna spend my per diem check at the casino and then just live off my paycheck. I'll be fine. I was 20.
Yeah.
I didn't have any responsibilities.
Yeah.
And he was sitting there and he's like, oh, I was like, I'm just gonna put $5 in this machine, and I lost. And I was like, all right. So I put a 20, I grabbed a 20, I put 20 out in the machine. He's all, you're gonna put $20 in to chase that 5 you lost? And I was like, yeah, good point. He's all gambling is all you're doing is chasing whatever you lost.
Mm-hmm.
You're never always winning.
Mm-hmm.
So you can choose to do with that what you wish, kiddo. And I was like, that was a really good point. You made a lot of sense to me that day, and then I look at fishing and stuff like that. And that term comes to my head so often. Like they're putting in 20 to chase that 5 they lost.
Well, one of my favorite things, and I heard this not too long ago from a song, and it was, the jockey lives for racing, the horse just loves to run.
Oh yeah.
And that's all this industry is. It's jockeys and horses.
Yep.
And I'm a horse. I just love to run, bro. I just love fishing. Like I made my job, I love fishing. I made that my job. Those guys love tournament angling and they made that their job.
Yep.
2 different perspectives on the same exact thing.
On the same track.
Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah. Dude. So I'm not either. I love people. And my whole thing when I listen to podcasts, I listen to your podcast a lot. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I'm a huge fan. And like the fact that you are honest and vulnerable on a regular basis, that builds an audience that is personable with you. And people are they basically build relationships with you without you ever actually meeting them, because they get to know you a little bit by every podcast, So that's what drew me to, like, when someone offered me a podcast, was like, well, if I'm going to do this, I want to know more about the people. Like, like your vulnerability and your availability is like super awesome. At the same time, like your push and motivation and your points of perspective on like a healthy mindset on a regular basis is like really what drew me into like, dude, like we need to talk. Like I need to hear more about this because I need to know where all this came from, like, and I really think other people do too. So selfishly, I'm going to put it out there so other people can know, because a lot of people are sitting around going, the fuck, how did he do this? Or what did this? Or let's open it up, dude. Let's fucking break it down.
Dude. And I love it, man. And that's why, again, it's why one of my favorite forms of content is because we can have these conversations. And this is how you really hash it out. Dude, we've been doing this for a hot minute now. And it's like, we got the 10,000 foot view. You know what I mean? Like we can, like the 1 foot view takes, that's literally the past decade of my life.
Yeah. Well, we still haven't talked about your second sister. Like we can flea hop anytime you want, man. Like I'm into it. Like I'm here for it, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. But I am here for it. You know?
Yeah. No, dude, it's cool, man. I mean, I think that and I'm with you, dude. Like I want to help as many people as I can. Like, and that's kind of my mission in life, is like, I have been given a really, really cool platform to do really, really cool stuff. And all I want to do is be a conduit for cool stuff to happen. And I want to help as many people as we can in whatever capacity that is. You know what I mean? Whether it's buying buddy heaters for people in North Carolina living in RVs, or if that's like, having these conversations and giving somebody a little bit of hope. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why, you watch my videos and I put things out, and it's like, I had somebody ask me the other day, they're like, hey man, like, why do you put that like suicide line thing at the beginning of some of your videos? And I'm like, I don't know. It's like something told me that video needed that. Don't know why. I don't do it all the time, but every now and again, I'll just stick it on there. And it's just like, so that somebody, God willing, somebody clicks on my video and that's the one thing that saves them. And it's like, because like, there's just so many people who have no hope, but they do have hope. They just don't think they have hope. And there's so many people sitting out there in a dark place that sucks. And like, if this conversation or a video that I put out, or a little laugh that I can give them, or a perspective change that I can give them, or a mission, because a bad thing can be a mission. Like, like we had a real negative conversation last week on my podcast about spotted bass. And we're gonna have another negative one this week, because I'm bringing on another biologist, and we're going to just like feel like it's the end of the world as we know it. But like,
what if it's good?
What if it's good, dude? I mean, what if that just sets a fire under somebody's ass that wanted to start a 9mm a week ago. And he's like, you know what? That's going to be my mission in life is to fight against Alabama bass. I mean, as weird as that sounds, but dude, it could. I mean, bro, I as a guy I went to college with, I'll never forget him. I'll never forget this. He looked at me, he goes, I'm going to kill myself. And I was like, whoa, never heard anybody tell me that before. I was like, I didn't know how to, I was like, and he was a veteran. He had just done some horrible things in war. And I was like, man, I was like, dude, I don't think you should do that. I was like, I don't know what to say to him. I was like, I just don't really think you should do that, buddy. I was like, I don't want you to do that. I was like, I think the world's better with you in it than it is with you out of it. He's like, yeah. He's like, I've been thinking about it. And I'm like, wow. And he walked away. And that was like the whole conversation. I'm like, that's crazy. Well, then he doesn't show up. He doesn't show up. He doesn't show up. And I'm like, oh, no. I was like, no. Like, this is not this, like this thing. Like, he didn't do it, did he? I get a call from him like 3 months later. He goes, hey, man. I'm like, hey, what's up, dude? He goes, you know, man, he's like, you were right. He's like, I decided to hike the Appalachian Trail. And I was like, all righty. I was like, did you do it? He's like, yeah. He's like, I'm in Vermont. Just wanted to tell you I got it done and that I'm okay. Never heard from him again.
Dude.
And I don't know. And at that moment, I realized it's just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the bad thing can send it the one way and the good thing can send it the other way. So why not put a smile on your face? Why not get up every single morning, take a deep breath, be thankful that you got breath in your lungs, that you got 2 feet under you. And guess what? If you don't have 2 feet, at least you got breath in your lungs. If you can't walk, crawl. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. If you can't crawl, do everything that you can. I mean, just do it. Do it to the best of your ability every single day. Get up, positivity, smile on your face, and just do it as best as you can. That's it, bro. That's me.
I mean, I hate to get like super deep and dark or whatever, but I can tell you from a point of perspective of not expecting to see the sun again, the only thing you want to do is live another day.
Yep.
And it is the weirdest sensation, you know.
Yep.
And it gets to the point where, like you said, you get like this perspective swap where the next thing you know, everything's not that bad anymore. It's, you know, life is just lifing and we're all in it, you know. Might as well bring as much positivity to it as we possibly can for everybody else around us. So like, I don't want my experience with somebody to be like a mundane experience of, oh, I met that guy. Cool. Mm-hmm. You know, like, and I'm not trying to be all like self-absorbed or anything like that, but what I want to make sure is that when I talk to somebody, when I meet somebody, and when I hang out with somebody, that they understand that they are very fucking important to me. Mm-hmm. You know,
the world's better with you in it than without it, dude.
Absolutely.
Like, and that's it, dude. That's it. That's having empathy. That's having empathy. I mean, it's just like everybody is an image bearer of a God that created them, and they're special and they're fearfully made, and like respect everybody that way. Try your best to respect everybody that way. And you're going to run into people who don't respect you. And what you do,
absolutely.
You go, okay, cool, man.
Yeah.
That's good. Like, that's cool. If that's what you want to do, that's cool, man. Like, but I'm still going to respect you. You know what I mean? Don't let people walk all over you. That's not what I'm saying.
No. There's a difference.
There's a difference. Yeah. There is a difference. There's definitely a difference. But like that's just the thing, man. Is just like everybody is special. Everybody, like I don't know, dude. Like it's it, man. I mean, like, it's a deep, dark world out there, and just your little bitty light can shine so bright. And like, absolutely. You know, it's like it's the most silly thing, but like go outside on a really, really dark night and just turn on a flashlight and see how much it actually lights everything up. And like that can be you if you just smile at somebody.
Absolutely. My wife always asks me why I say hi to the neighbors or wave or something like that. She's like, you're like that guy, like on that insurance ad where you're just talking to everybody in the neighborhood. You're that like little Nancy guy. And I'm like, no, dude, like people need to know that they fucking matter. And I say goodbye to every single person in the room before I leave, because if it's the last time I see him, it's the last time I see him. And I want them to know that I love them. Like that's what it is, you know, like, and on top of that, like,
be a golden retriever of a human. Just be like, hey, everybody. Like, hey.
Right. And I'm telling you, I'm not born that way. I don't think anybody is naturally born that way. If somebody's naturally born that way, please like point them in my direction because I want to know what that's like coming from the in utero. Like I had to have some stuff. Just like you had to have some stuff. Like these are trained and learned lessons. This is like over and over us people trying to how do I say it? Self-motivate and change. Like you're trying to, like I was talking to Armando last week, you're always in the competition with yourself. Like you're trying to be a better self you are today than you were yesterday. All you're trying to do is be better than you were yesterday. That's it. Like stuff like that can drive a person into actually learning how to put your shopping cart away when you're at the grocery store after you load up your groceries. Little things like that, little activities like that can change a person's heart.
And
It's
that
just a
all
matter
comes
of
back to intentionality.
putting in action. Yes,
You've got to be so intentional with all of those things. Like
absolutely.
In it's weird. I read I forgot who it was, but it was like it's Navy SEAL, and he's like he gets up every morning and makes his bed.
Yep.
And he's like, a small act like that, you would think, well, it's just making my bed, but making my bed, it ends up being, well, I am going to work out. And that workout ends up being, well, I am going to do this extra thing. And then he said, then, 6 months from now, you're intentionally doing all of these things with intentionality and with purpose. And you're doing them because they need to be done and you want them to be done. And it's good when they're done. And all those good things end up being what ultimately like it reinforces that framework and that scaffolding that you put in place. And I mean, like, that's just it, dudes. Is be intentional about it.
Absolutely. Also, I'm going to do this taboo thing that people don't like to talk about. We're going to talk about some spirituality just real quick. When I moved up here, I was looking for a life.
Listen, you don't know. I don't know if you want to go down this rabbit hole, but
No. I'm good with it. When I moved up here, I was born into the Christian religion by all means. Like we spent many days a week at church. It just it was what it was. And I knew everything, or quote unquote knew everything. I moved up here for a different way of life. I had to change everything about me. And when I got here and they told me that I had to have a relationship with a power greater than myself, I chose God because that's the one I knew, Well, actually I didn't at first, and I suffered for a very long time. And then when I finally chose a God of my understanding, which is the God I grew up with, Jesus. And I didn't know how to pray. I didn't know how to have a relationship, because the idea is that you have a relationship with your creator, not necessarily just ask for shit. So
he's not a wishing well.
Yeah. There ain't no 911 up there. So what I did do is I learned in the morning I would pray upon awakening, because the first thing I think of when I wake up is myself. And so I had to learn how to think about others first. So the first thing I do is I pray for others the moment I wake up. And then while I'm awake, after my prayer, I make my bed, because I can't sit still. I'm not a meditator. I'm not good like that. I just can't. But I can make a bed and listen. So I would take my time and I would make my bed and I would clean my room and I would lay out my clothes. And that was the time where God had his chance to like either respond or just let me know that everything's going to be all right for the day. And it changed everything for me. Now I have, kids and a wife. So I don't make my bed all the time. Half the time they're all in it. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. I'm just going to creep out of this house right now. But it absolutely created what I consider to be a relationship. Now that relationship is a struggle the last 20 years. Like I'm a fighter, so it's a struggle. But it has definitely made it a point. So if you guys are looking for something and there's a hole somewhere inside, people who are listening, if you are looking for something and there's a hole in you that you cannot figure out how to at least have a positive moment in your day, I suggest that you just shoot out a line of, hey, I'm here. I think that other people need more help than I do today. So if there's anything that I can do to be of service to others, just let me know, and then make your fucking bed. Just something small like that. It's like you said, like the guy makes his bed, like that was my routine, and I didn't come up with that. Somebody else had to tell me that, and it has changed everything.
That's it, dude. That's it, buddy. I love it. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I have it. I mean, like, I don't know even what to add to that. I mean, that's just it. It's just like, this is,
how does spirituality fall in your routine?
oh, dude. I mean, it's, how does it not?
Solid.
I mean, what is the perspective of grace, right? I think a lot of people, Or what's the perspective of mercy, really? You know, grace is a gift given that we didn't have to work for. But what is mercy? Mercy is I take a breath.
Yeah.
The act of breathing is spirituality. I mean, because
Yes.
if you believe in the same God that I do, you know, his name in Hebrew is Yahweh. And in
Absolutely.
Hebrew, when you say it, it's Yahweh, which is a breath in and a breath out. He literally is the first breath that you take as a human in. It'll be the last breath that you take out, you're saying his name. Everything is spiritual. We are a spiritual being in a physical meat body waiting to go past to what is the true meaning of our existence, not this. This is 80 years of turmoil and suffering on an earth where we were not promised anything happy and pretty much told like you're going to suffer and it's going to be bad, but I'm here and the ultimate goal is this is not it. I truly believe that. And I
Yeah.
believe that there's a guy named Jesus who was the incarnation of that God and hung on a cross and bared everything that I had going on and turned me into a better person. And he is the gate, and he's the way and the truth and the life. And only through him can I get to where I need to be. And where I
Yeah.
need to be is with him. And like that's the thing is where does spirituality fall in my life? Everything is spiritual because I am of spirit. I'm just in a physical body existing with y'all right now at this time. And I mean, there's a lot of people that this gets them real up and tight. I know it does.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I know it does. Trust me. I've been there. I've done that. You get real tied up about it. And that's fine. I can understand that. It's scary. It's different. It's because we have this whitewashed Western view of what all that is. And like I think
Most people do. Yeah.
yeah, most people do. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, 90% of them do. You know what I mean? And that's fine. That's like the coolest part about all this is like it's real simple. Like it's a simple gospel. Like this dude named Jesus was God. He died for you, and if you believe in him, you're good. That's it. Thief on the cross. It's my favorite example of anything. Dude didn't know anything was going on. He didn't know. He wasn't baptized. He didn't know any of the books. He didn't know any of the laws. He didn't know anything was going on. He just looked at Jesus and was like, "Remember me?" And Jesus goes, surely today you will be with me in paradise. And he was there. And like, how cool is that? That like Jesus, the first person that he chose to walk into his kingdom with him was a thief on a cross. Wasn't Moses, wasn't all these other religious big grandstanders. It was a dude on a cross who didn't know any of the rules. Like he walked in and they were like, so do you know this law? And Jesus was like, no, he doesn't. Like, don't worry about him. He's with me, and that's cool. And that's it. Like, that's dope to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like, but all that being said, yeah, man. I mean, like, that's where spirituality fits into my life. You know what I mean? It's like, and you know, we're an hour and 56 minutes into this conversation. And it's like this is just now coming up, right? And it's
Yeah.
because like that's where I think that this is where this works. This is where this conversation needs to be had is when we really get deep into like what is the actual reality of my existence. The actual reality of my existence is that it's a man named Jesus and my representation of him into the world. And how do I represent him in the best way that I can? And I suck terribly at it.
I was gonna say I'm horrible. I'm the worst. Yeah.
Horrible. But so
Yeah.
was Paul, the guy who wrote most of the New Testament. He said it himself. I do the things that I do not want to do because I know that they're evil, yet I still do them and I don't know why I do them. And it's like he's the great, but he's like the dude who wrote most of the New Testament. And you're over here going like Paul gets it. Paul's like me. He's
Yep.
like it's all in, but that's just it, dude. I mean, like, and you're right. Like if you have a deep, dark void in your soul it's a hole that you cannot fill. You can't figure it out. Like I would implore you, pick up a Bible, go to the Bible Project on YouTube, and just go check it all out, and just like just check it out for me. If you got any questions, hit me up. We'll talk about it. But go check it out. Like I just want you to go see it because it's like come and see what it's about. We are the light of the world. I'm gonna, and like let that be what it is. And it's like I don't know any other way to say it. You know what I mean? Like that's just it, bro. Like you obviously know. Like
I do. Yeah.
you know, and it's like I wish I could explain it to people, but it's incomprehensible. It's unattainable. It is not a bearded guy sitting on clouds up there like I am God and this is the way that it is. Like that's not what this is. That's
Read
not
Ezekiel if you think that's what it is. You know.
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh, bro, straight up.
Yes.
And that's just it. And I'm just like, man, like if people, it ain't fat little kids with wings shooting arrows at people, dude. Like,
Four
man,
people moving like this.
Yeah,
beings, you know, like,
yeah. And they got 50 eyes on them and they're spinning inside of themselves and they got flaming swords. And I'm over here, man, like, man, the spiritual world's gonna be dope. And like that's one cool thing. That's one
Have you
cool
ever
thing.
Googled those images? Just side
Oh.
note, have you ever Googled? Oh, gosh.
Yes. I love it.
Yeah.
That's one cool thing. I'll end it with this, and then I'm gonna jet because I am gonna go be intentional with my wife because it is midnight, and I actually have to get up in the morning to do something. But anyway, you're good, bro. You're good. I love this. But there's one thing my dad told me before he passed away. He's like, man, I can't wait to meet the Archangel Michael. And I think about that all the time, and I'm like, yeah. And I said to him, I was like, yeah. That's gonna be cool, man. Like, and I'm just sitting there thinking, and I think about it all the time, and it's like, where does spirituality fit into my daily life? And like, it's everything, right? But it's definitely in those dark moments when I'm thinking about my dad laying in that hospital bed dying, and watching him die. That was not the end, and that at that moment, that his real life began, and I'll get to see him again one day. And I'll get to meet my mamaw that I never got to meet, and I'll have eternity to chill with everybody and figure it all out. You know what I mean? Long after I've probably spent 10,000 years just staring at God trying to figure all that out. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because we're gonna have it forever, and I just want people to have that hope. That's what I want. I want people to have that same hope that I have, and I want that hope to be transferred onto people. And like, the dude's name's Jesus. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, read those. Find you a Bible. Go to the Bible Project. Start there. That's the dude. And he's the way, the truth, and the life. And if you can learn that man and you can understand who that dude was, then you know God. And we'll figure out all the semantics and all the details later. But that's the main core of this. And like, that's it, bro. That's it. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for, bro.
Dude, that's what it was, dude. I'm not even gonna do the whole. We're gonna shut it down right here. I'm just gonna go ahead and kick you to the green room after you tell everybody where they can find you, so if they have questions about any of this, because it is of extreme importance. If you have a question, to reach out always.
Absolutely, it's Alex Rudd Fishing on everything. Just Alex Rudd Fishing. RUDD is my last name. Put fishing. It'll be an orange logo with my ugly mug on it. It's a little cartoon version of me. You follow me on any platform that you want to. I'm on everything that you can probably be on: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, got the podcast and all that stuff. But hit me up anytime you want to, guys. And yeah, appreciate you, Dave.
Dude,
you're awesome, bro.
Dude, Alex, thank you, man. I'm gonna throw you in the green room and I'm gonna cut this whole show. So, dude, thank you again, man. I can't thank you enough. I appreciate you. All right, everybody. So we are way off what we would normally do, and I am freaking here for it. So, dude, thank you, Rudd. Dude, you really showed up in a way that I was not expecting. I did not expect this show to go this direction. I did not even expect the show to start the way it started. This whole thing has just been absolutely perfectly unhinged, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. So thanks for everybody for listening. And by all means, if you need anything, hit me up. I'm Wolf of Walmart on Instagram, and I don't really have a TikTok anymore. Or jump on the Whole Angler podcast on Instagram. And thank you, and I hope you guys have a good night.
What's up, everybody? Wolf of Walmart. We're back, baby, again.
Not a bad fish right there, guys. No.
Out here catching fulsome bass right now, dude. Woo, he's a little chunker.